What's going on, everyone, and big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta, and we are back after a teaser. So I've already done a teaser on the Bruce Grade 4 Unrivaled Bruce deck profile, and you guys actually were very interested to see the complete deck profile. I didn't expect that. I thought that that people will not be that much into OverDress, but I guess they are. So when it comes to Bruce, there are two different builds that you could make. You could go to the Grade 3 Bruce and you could go to the Grade 4 Bruce. If you choose the Grade 4 Bruce, there are also multiple builds that you could do in that deck. And in the teaser, I explained the options and the different decks, different builds that you could make. So if you guys are interested in that, you can check that out. I'll put the link in the description section below. But most of you guys already have seen that, and that's when you come and watch this video. So with this video, we'll just go into the deck profile. I will go fast through it and come back and explain the choices. And there will be no strange cut in here because this is the complete deck profile. Alright, so if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, and let us know in the comment section below if you want me to get the SSP Bruce or not. Alright, so first we start, of course, with the right deck. So let's get this beautiful Bruce out of the way and start with the DSR Bruce. So you guys also made the choice for me to play the DSR Bruce and not the normal arts. And in here we actually also play the Greedon starter. You guys didn't comment on that, so yeah, pretty much up to me to choose which one I want. I want to play this one. The thing is, with this starter, I really like the art a lot, especially that one over there that is chilling in the background. He's like giving up on life and everything. So you could play the starter that you like. Pretty much the other one is a beautiful, let's say, full art or a borderless art, and this one is not, of course, but yeah, pretty much up to you. So we have the Greedon starter, or you could play Matt. You have Steve, you have Richard, and you have Bruce. There's no reason to explain this lineup. It's basically your right deck. Alright, now we get into the Grade 4s. So we have the 4 copies of the Unrivaled Bitch Bruce. Unrivaled is just an amazing card. When you compare him to the Grade 3, this card is better in every way. Except the fact that the Grade 3 doesn't cost Count Blast, and the fact that you could Persona Write on a Grade 3. But the Grade 4 by itself is better, because even without having to use the skill, this card still gives you E3 drive checks. So that's it. The only thing that I expected the Grade 4s to have is that they also would be stronger, like a 15k body. But they are not, just the 13k, which is okay. Alright, so again, we'll come back later and explain this. As you can see, I play the SPs, I don't play the SSPs, because I want to get one for the collection, but I don't think that I will play it. But if you guys want me to get one, let me know in the comment section below. For the Grade 3s, we run the 3 copies of Brian and the 4 copies of Marjorie. Well, right here, you could cut Brian back to 2 and play more Grade 2s if you want to. You could do it the way that you like to. Marjorie at 4, again, as I explained in the teaser video, and this deck is actually very close to the Grade 3 Bruce. I tried the other deck out where you play the other order card, which I could show you right away. So you could, when playing this deck, you have the option to play any of the order cards that you like. You could play Pandemonium Tactics. If you play Pandemonium Tactics, then you will not play Soul Chargers like her. And you will also see yourself playing cards like Brainwash, which could actually gain a huge advantage from playing this card. But for me, I actually do not play Pandemonium Tactics. I play the Hellblast. Hellblast, in my opinion, is a better card, so that's why I play it. That's why I combine it with Marjorie. But if you guys play the Pandemonium Tactics, then you would not play Marjorie. Okay, so that's the Grade 3 lineup. Again, we'll explain that later on. For the Grade 2s, we start with the 3 copies of Eden, And then we follow up with 3 copies of Derek and then 2 copies of Leonard. Originally, I played 4 copies of Eden. I do find Eden really good, especially in the late game and in the early game. I decided to take one of him out to play an extra copy of Brian because I did feel like having the crit on the Vanguard is sometimes more effective and Brian gives the extra 5k. But having the Eden in the front row or the Leonard is actually the most effective with the Mayuri. But you do want a Mayuri on one side and one of these boys on the other side. So basically this is your grade 2 lineup. We will talk about the other options that you could add in here later on, and also the choices that you could maybe play more of this or more of that. For the grade 1s, very simple actually, 4 copies of the Vanguard. The Vanguard is amazing. Get this card in SP because it's beautiful. And 2 Dogos. Again, I would love to play a 3rd copy of Dogo, but just no space. So many good cards and so little space. For the order cards, I play the 3 copies of Hellblast and 2 copies of the new order card. Again, this is something that I also would like to explain, and we'll do. Last but not least, the triggers. We play 4 beautiful heals, followed up by 4 crits. It's also important to play this crit, although I would love to play the other one. For the fronts, I started with playing 6, then went back to 5, and now I play 4 because I love this draw trigger. So play 3 copies of her, and of course the as you can see from the playmat, of course we play this over trigger, the one from the Dark State. Alright, so now we have gone through the deck. Now we could come back and explain everything. And yeah, let's start with the grade 0s because it's easier, because I have them in my hand. The first one is of course the overtrigger, because you have a resending Vanguard, you have more benefit from this overtrigger. Still, you could play the Cray Elemental one, it's still more effective. But for me, the Cray Elemental one works the best in the grade 3 deck. So the normal Bruce deck without the grade 4, and this one works better in this deck. But again, you could change it the way you want to. For the triggers, the only thing that you could change in here, in my opinion, is you could play more fronts. I've also seen people play more crits, up to you. But again, I would say play more fronts. The fronts are the most effective, especially in the late game. And the crits are effective in the early game. The draws are very effective. Why? Because of their skill that they gain an extra 5k. Means that sometimes when you want to guard something which is a 10k shield, you will give up a 15k shield because you don't have 10ks in OverDress. And that's why one of the reasons why I play so little grade 1s, because I don't feel like it's necessary to play those. And the 10k shield actually becomes very effective. Being a draw trigger is so good, especially in the early game, getting it in a drive check and a damage check. It's more effective than having a front then. So yeah, it pretty much depends on your playstyle, but I do like this lineup a lot. For the crits, of course, we have to play some at least, so we play 4 crits, and this crit is also very effective, as sometimes it gives you that 1 extra soul that you need, which is good. The only downside is give only 2k, which is kind of a strange number. You don't really benefit a lot from that. And of course the 4 heals. Play the beautiful borderless art heal, of course. Alright, grade 1s don't really need to be explained that much. The 4 PGs is self-explanatory, we don't have to go into that. And then you have the 2 Dogos. I would love to play more if I could, but I just don't have the space. Other options that you could play in here, you could play her, she's really good, but she's very counterblast heavy. And in a deck that you already play Mayuri and Derek, I don't feel like she's necessary, but it's a good option to add to the deck. There are others, which will show. Of course, you have Brainwash, but I explained Brainwash works the best with Pandemonium Tactics, so that's why he is not in here. And of course, we have the Queen Lu. Queen Lu is an amazing card. Tested with it a lot, but I like Dogo more. If you want to play this, you sometimes also would have to go back and play something like Pandemonium Tactics. Why? Because you want the Soul Charge to be in your main phase because it's an act ability. But if you play a deck which plays Marjorie, plays the Hellblast, then you could not really play this card. So pretty much up to you. As I explained in the teaser, you have different ways to build this deck, and yeah, this is just one of them. Alright, so now we get into the grade 2s, and this is, let's say, the most flexible lineup out of them all. We have Derek, we have Eden, and we have Leonard, and we have a new boy. New boy is really good, but I just dislike the cost of a counterblast so much that it's just not worth it. I don't know. This card, when he was designed, you pretty much have to choose between having to play him or having to play Derek. You could not really go both. That's too much counterblasts to have in the deck, and it's pretty much up to you. I still find Derek better in most situations, but if you play something like a Pandemonium Tactics where you soul charge too much and you have good stuff in your soul, then I could understand people would rather play him than Derek. So, and if you do not play Leonard at all, then I could also understand people playing him and not Derek. But the combination between Derek and Leonard is actually quite good. And then people ask me, why do you still play Leonard? Because Leonard's skill does not work with the grade 4 Bruce. Well, the calling skill doesn't work with the grade 4 Bruce, but destroying the column, attacking the whole column, gaining the extra 5k, gaining the soul charge ability do work with all Bruces, because you only need final rush. So this is pretty much a column destructive machine. This boy attacks twice, taking out your whole opponent field like crazy because he restands, and your other attacks will go into the Vanguard, and with that you gain a huge advantage. So again, an amazing card, and I don't think that I would take him out. But if you would take him out, what would you play? Well, definitely you could add more copies of Eden. Eden is actually one of the most important cards in this deck, as he's your main attacker with the Marjorie. Both Derek and Leonard are like a plan B and C. What other cards you could play except this beautiful SP, which I have 4 of chilling in my binder for some reason? You could also play her. She is also quite good. She gives you the ability to soul charge 2 and give one of your Regards or units, I think. Is it units or Regards? Units, yeah. One of your units extra 10k when she hits, which is again amazing because it has hit pressure, good soul charge. It's kind of the same as playing Leonard, but in a different way. So pretty much up to you to play her or not. I do like her, as in the arts and the skill and the hit pressure, but I do find Leonard just superior to her, as in he is more of a field destruction boy. Alright, that's it for the grade 2s. Again, you could change it up. You could take out the Leonard, you could play an extra copy of Eden, and you could maybe play an extra copy of Dogo, then you're good to go. For the grade 3s, I would not play less than 3 Brian. I do find myself needing the 3rd copy of him, because you could activate his skill multiple times in a game, even in this deck, which does not soul charge that much. Marjorie, on the other hand, she does everything that you need her to do. She soul charges, she draw you a card, she becomes a beat stick, and she's beautiful as in the art. So yeah, everything you want in a girl, right? Alright, and of course we have our beautiful Bruce grade 4. Not much to be explained here. He's the main boy of the deck, but you could do in this deck, if you want to, you could add in extra grade 3 Bruce. If you do so, then if you don't draw into him, you still have at least one Persona right turn, and then the Persona right draw your card, you drive check again, and sometimes you do draw into your grade 4 on the turn after that. But yeah, that's also possible. I didn't find myself needing that extra copy, because again, I do draw into this boy a lot. But if you find yourself needing that extra copy, just play one extra Bruce grade 3 in the deck. And last but definitely not least, we have our order cards. So the reason why I play 3 on 2 is sometimes your opponent does not give you 2 count blasts. And if they don't give you 2 count blasts, then you could not play this because Bruce needs a count blast by himself. So that's when you will use this card. And when you use this card, you gain a counter charge, which means that you gain an extra count blast for the turn after that. So if your opponent gives you only 1 damage, with the counter charge you get from this, you could play this on the next turn. I hope that you understood what I just said. If your opponent doesn't give you any counter blast at all, which they think you could not use your bruise skill, this card becomes again more effective. So depending on how many Derricks you want to use a game, depending on if you have used the Eden skill in the early game or not, you sometimes do need this card. And playing it up 2 is actually good. Playing just 1 copy of it is kind of stupid, but again, pretty much up to you. And playing the 4 blast is also good. I'd love to do that, but again, there is just no space and so many good cards in this deck. And that's actually it. That's the deck profile. That's everything that I wanted to explain. And yeah, the choice that I gave you guys last time is to choose between which Bruce you want me to play and which starter you want me to play. We ended up with having to choose this DSR Bruce. So yeah, of course he's in. And if you guys want to keep this boy in here, or do you want to bring Matt back? And the other question is, do you want me to get an SSP Bruce, or you think, yo, it's not worth it? Thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning in to our channel. Hope to see you in the next videos, of course. So till next time.